Hello there, and welcome to another episode of COVID-19 Update here in Chatham-Kent, where we talk to different municipal officials, organizations, and individuals that are making a big bang in our community and helping us getting through this very trying time. And I'm very happy to have our MPP, Rick Nicholls, for the Chatham-Kent-Leamington ride. And Rick, thanks for joining me today.
It's my pleasure, Eric. Thanks so much for considering me to be part of your TV.
Well, we are doing our part to make sure our local communities get involved and knowing what's going on from our senior levels of government. So I have to ask you, how are you and your family doing during this very crazy time in our province and world?
Well, thank you so much for asking. And, it's a great question. My wife and I are doing just fine. We're adapting, adjusting. We go out to the store when we need to. One will go in, not usually two. And sometimes just for a change of scenery, we'll just go for a drive around the community and just see how things are and just get some fresh air. I'll take the dog for a walk every once in a while and so on. And we're doing fine. My children live in Oshawa. My daughter Brooke, she and her husband, and of course they've been greatly affected by this, but they're staying healthy. And because they're in the music industry, as many know. And my son Chris, and he's in the music industry as well. He's been affected, but again, they're following the directions of our premier. And my other son Jeff and his wife and three children. Boy, I'll tell you, it's got to be a challenge when you have an 11, a 9, and a 4-year-old all at home, and they say, "Why can't we go out and play?" They just don't quite understand, but they're doing fine.
I got to ask you, the funding that you guys have been giving out to all over Ontario have been assisting extremely well. What areas of focus do we hope after this pandemic is slowly on that down curve to help our struggling small businesses? I know a lot of them have adapted really well with the curbside and online services, but how are they going to help, when they want to start trying to finally open their doors?
Well, I think that's a great question, because I think one of the things we need to look at and consider is the fact that what is our province going to look like after COVID-19? Especially businesses. Nobody wants to see our businesses open up more in this area than I do. We need to get it going, but I appreciate the fact that Premier Ford is taking a slow, methodical, systematic approach. He's listening to the information and direction given by the Chief Medical Officer of Health for Ontario, Dr. Williams, and although it's not happening as quickly as some people would like, and I get the calls. I mean, I've been working alone in my office now for probably 3 weeks, fielding as many calls as I possibly can. My staff are working remotely. And to look at what the province will look like in the future, I think about maybe the implementation of safety protocols. And you may see where stores may not allow people to congregate inside their stores for a while until we can start looking at this COVID-19 in the rearview mirror. Some, for example, I take my hat off to a number of businesses locally who are saying, before you come into our store, you must either put on gloves or you must use hand sanitizer. And a lot of them have their staff that are wearing masks. Now, do I want to see people wearing masks all the time? The answer to that is no. But I also care about the health and safety and well-being of our people, and especially our most vulnerable, because it seems to me that this COVID-19 is affecting a lot of our seniors more so than younger generation, younger people.
It's been an eye-opener for a lot of us. None of us have really experienced a pandemic like this. You look at something like SARS that, was very low and, was well-maintained in certain cities, but this is widespread across the world. So, again, the senior levels of government have done some great things, opening up the resources for doors, whether it's, hydro rates or expedited rental services. So thank you for everything you guys are doing. So these phases that are opening up, 2 to 4 week phases, I guess a lot of the questions are asking, what's going to be the difference between the essential and non-essential? Is there a checklist that needs to be done for a business to open to make sure you got that green light?
Well, it's interesting you would ask that question. We did our best to identify essential businesses, businesses that in somehow, shape, or form were related to either healthcare or related to our food chain, because it's very, very vital and important. And again, I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to our frontline healthcare workers, whether it be nurses, whether it be doctors, whether it be PSWs, anyone involved, even people working in long-term care homes, were preparing meals for people and so on. I mean, they're all subjected to the COVID-19, if in fact it is. But we're very fortunate here in this area. We've had very few cases of COVID-19. And again, I look at it and I say, it's because people are listening and people are taking precautionary measures to ensure that they don't catch this virus or they don't pass the virus on to other people. So again, there's a lot of things that we can do in this area, and I'm very grateful. I mean, even our truckers, and now we're extending free childcare for our healthcare workers, for those people who are involved, not just healthcare, but now those in groceries and others, essential services. So to go back to the question regarding essential services, Eric, one of the things that I think we need to look at is what can we start opening up? And of course, as the weather gets nice, all my golfing buddies are saying, come on, Rick, get those golf courses open. But also I look at, and I mean, my riding goes down to even Leamington, where there's a lot of greenhouses down there, and flowers. And of course, from roughly Easter through to Mother's Day, that's a good chunk of their business is flowers. And they're saying, we can't open up, we need to open up. So we're working on a plan right now and looking at talking with these various businesses to say, what are the protocols, safety protocols you can put in place so that you can open up. Yep. But we won't have mass people, but maybe you allow so many people in at a time. And you maybe, like in grocery stores, they put arrows on the floor, just to kind of direct traffic so people aren't kind of congregating and moving in different directions. We're all moving in the same direction. So I anticipate that in the next week or so, we'll have more announcements regarding some of the businesses, low-risk businesses, I might add as well. And some of those low-risk businesses, of course, we have our landscapers. That's, to me, I consider that low risk. I was able to put a little pressure on our government with regards to our lawn cutters.
Yes.
And saying, okay, people, we need to have our cemeteries cut. We need to have our parks cut. Seniors need to have their grass cut. And so on, because if not, I mean, this area, especially closer to the parks, is a high area for ticks. And of course, we don't want that. And of course, that affects our health care. So we're looking at opening up some businesses, the low-risk businesses, probably in the next couple of weeks, if not sooner. But we'll have to stay tuned for that.
Just a follow-up question between these. Do you suspect that any of these phases will go past that 2 to 4 week recommended stage just for safety protocols?
Yes, I do. And but again, that's maybe further down the road. I mean, we're going to do this in maybe a 3-stage approach. We're not going to stick ourselves to a calendar. This is a roadmap. This is a roadmap, and people have to understand. And boy, do I ever empathize with their frustrations and so on, because I was talking with a pastor from Leamington, and he said, Rick, he says, I'm seeing an increase in family violence, child abuse. I'm seeing the fact that with no money coming in, it really weighs heavy on the family, the institution of family, and so on. So we've got to get people back to work and so on. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to kind of throw a little curveball here. I appreciate everything that I know everything that we're doing as a government to help businesses, to help our most vulnerable, to help people just to kind of get by, especially those who have been unemployed. But let's take a look at the farming community for just a moment. There's a lot of people that are unemployed, and I look at greenhouses as an example. They have to bring in temporary foreign workers because nobody in the area wants to work in a greenhouse. Well, they obviously haven't been in a greenhouse lately. It's such high tech anymore, and so on. Now, okay, there was we had a bit of a setback a couple of days ago with regards to I think it was 45 people tested positive at this particular greenhouse, 42 of which were temporary foreign workers. But again, I want to say they didn't come in with that particular disease. They caught it here. So to blame them for bringing it in, that's false. And to blame, the owners of the greenhouse business, is unfair. It's very unfair. I mean, when you think about it, we are involved in what I would call World War III. Oh, Rick, that's pretty extreme. No, it's not extreme, because when you look at it, you look at all the countries in the world that have been in fact impacted by COVID-19. We're fighting an enemy that we can't see.
Yeah.
We are fighting an enemy that we can't see. Now, you look at the modeling that has been done, and some may agree and some may disagree with the modeling initially. I have an opinion on that. But again, I think that it's good to see that the numbers aren't what the modeling had so tragically projected, which really put the fear in a lot of people, to the point where I walk my dog and people don't even want to say hi. I say, is it because me as the MPP or just me as Rick, and so on. But again, I understand that, because when you can in fact inflict a lot of fear into people, Eric, you know what? You can control them.
Scary.
And I have some concerns about that. But you know what? We're going to come out of this. We're going to come out of this in flying colors. We're going to get back to, it may be a new normal. It may be a new normal of doing business.
Sure.
And so on, because you took a look at your TV and what you and I are doing right now. Normally, I'm in your studio.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, guess what? I want to be in your studio when this is when COVID-19. But this is a new way of doing business.
Yeah.
With Skype or with FaceTime or with Zoom and so on. I mean, this is a whole new way of doing business, and people are going to say, "Hey, this isn't so bad."
Yeah, we're going to have to look to adapt, and I think, again, a lot of small businesses have done that, and it's amazing how a community will band together to figure out, we got to get through this all together as a team. Our Mayor, Darren Canup, and his team are doing an amazing job developing a CK economic task force, and we ask ourselves that, what is our little area of CK going to look like after this is all said and done? What are your thoughts on rebuilding, not just CK, but, everything, all and throughout southwestern Ontario on the economic front? What do we need to do?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question. First of all, we need to sit down and identify, I think, what has the economic impact been on our community. But let's be specific rather than general. We can look at it and say, oh, it's been devastating, because my biggest concern are small business owners. And we tend to focus on the big employers in an area. They only provide a small amount of employment in an area, considering all the small businesses and the people that are there. I get phone calls. I've been receiving phone calls from people all the time. Rick, I don't know what to do. I maybe can last for maybe another month, or we have a situation where, and I realize this too, and this is where we have to kind of talk with, actually CMHC, Canada Mortgage and Housing, and we're working with them, and that's kind of federally, but we're working with them to help commercial landlords. So in other words, if for example, you have a bank and they've loaned out money to a commercial landlord, that commercial landlord is responsible for paying the bank monthly. But the sad part is that commercial landlord may have a number of tenants, perhaps, working in the building that they actually own. Well, what are they going to do? Because they rely on the income generated from their tenants. But if the tenants' off buildings or offices or businesses are closed, they don't have income coming in.
That's right.
What are they going to do? And if there's no income there, then what's the commercial landlord going to do? So it's just a domino effect.
Yeah.
And we're working on a plan right now. I've had questions coming in constantly about this, this rental assistance program for commercial buildings and so on. It's the federal government has to get this application up online so that people can go there and learn how to fill it out and apply and go from there. But like I said earlier, we are in uncharted waters right now, Eric, and it's a playbook that we're creating. It's not a playbook that we're following. It's a playbook that we're creating every day. This is, as you can imagine, this has changed from monthly to weekly to daily to almost hourly. Things are changing, and we're making some new announcements every day.
I like that word they use, economic playbook. It's a whole new sports in our world right now, so we have to create the plays every day. So it's awesome what our senior levels of government have been doing to get us through this day one step at a time through this COVID pandemic. Rick, is there anything else you would like to add in before we wrap up here?
Well, you know what, again, I truly appreciate, the residents of Chatham-Kent-Leamington, looking at how they're answering the call. We put the call out. If you're uncomfortable, wear a mask. Make sure that you sanitize. Wash your hands. Keep your safe distancing and so on. But, we're also doing our best to ensure that the economy compared to what it is right now, it's a trickle right now. But at least, emergency repairs, essential services, those types of things are still going on. You'll still see residential homes being built. If a building permit had been issued prior to April 4th, that even though a hole might not have been dug for a residential home, they are still able to, because you have a person that has perhaps purchased that home and they have their existing home already for sale. Where are they going to go if their home isn't ready? So we're allowing that to happen. We're trying to keep the economy going. People are doing a great job, and I truly, again, respect and admire. There's a lot of what we see signs around town called heroes, and how, parents and working with their children, putting signs in windows or signs on lawns, thanking our heroes. That is critical, because it's heartwarming to those people as well, because they're front line. They're doing, if they're not dealing directly specifically with COVID, they're maybe on the road, our truckers, and they're delivering food supplies so we can have food. So again, to all those people involved, I say thank you to them, and I'm so grateful. And we're going to come out of this. We're going to be looking at this in the rearview mirror as time goes on, and I'm very, very excited about it. So again, and I thank you, Eric, for allowing me the opportunity to be on your TV to, in fact, kind of get a message out to people.
Absolutely. No, we thank you for everything you guys are doing. And once this is all said and done, I hope Ontario has one big, giant block party to just celebrate all the hard work that we've all done. So, again, Rick, thank you so much for all your time today.
Count me in on that party, Eric. I'll be there. Again, thank you so very, very much. Take care.